Another area in which this has been much talked about at the minute is in relation to this podcast series, the Telepathy tapes. And it presents, this very remarkable evidence. It sounds a bit like extraocular vision, actually, in these severely autistic kids who can't speak. Um, and it's a very good listen, I must say. And you're on the program as well. Inevitably, it's produced a big kickback, and some of it is just completely dismissive, saying that particularly the way that the carers of these children relate communicates information that then presents itself as some kind of telepathy. So that's the sort of the ultra skeptic kickback. But it also feels like maybe there's some sort of middle terrain here, which is that a richer explanation for what's going on isn't going to be a fairly straightforward, simplistic understanding of telepathy on a kind of bilateral level. But there is going to be some sort of triangulated interaction, maybe even involving carers or parents, but that it's pointing to maybe a broader field like set of relationships that we inhabit. So in a way, neither the simplistic explanation, here's the strong evidence for a simple understanding of telepathy, but also the rebuttal by the ultra skeptic, it's just a sort of form of unconscious cheating. I wonder whether you've thought more about that, and whether actually the whole evidence of the telepathy tapes is pointing us again towards needing a much more sophisticated, nuanced account of maybe a whole range of phenomenon if we're really going to understand that set of experiences as well.
I think there's no doubt that the relation with the carers is absolutely key in this. And in some of the tests that were done, the carers are there with the child, and the skeptics would say there's unconscious cueing, it's not telepathy. They'd agree there's some kind of communication, but they don't believe in telepathy, so it can't be telepathy for them. But some of the experiments are now being done where there can't be unconscious cueing, where they can't see them, or in separated rooms and so on. So I think that it's not just. I think the skeptical argument is what you'd expect skeptics to say, and it's an important thing to take into account in designing experiments. But people are designing and have designed those experiments. I mean, the first thing any researcher thinks of is these skeptic arguments. Every psychic researcher has internalized these skeptic arguments. It's not as if they naively don't think of this until some sort of sixth former who sort of read the Skeptical Inquirer says they could have been subtle cues and stuff. They're totally aware of this. But it is about the relationship, and some of these children seem to have telepathic relationships with other children, not their carers, and that's when things get interesting, I think. Just as in dreams, where some of the research with dreams shows that people can have shared dreams, they can meet people in dreams and both report the same dream, that they've had a shared dream. Now, if you can have telepathic contact within dreams, then this is all getting very interesting. So I think what this is showing us really is that there's a lot of ways in which minds can be interconnected. There's been very little research on this so far. I mean, the total number of people doing research on these things in the world is, 20 or 30. I mean, there's very, very few people. What we have really is a situation where there's no clear picture of how consciousness works. We've got several different theories. I think that the tide is turning against the narrow, reductive, materialist approach, and then it's leaving us with a new, open area where it's not at all clear exactly where to go and how everything fits together or how